you'll see plenty of those live oaks around the property. That one, though, is one of the oldest holding grounds at over 400 years old. And it would be a good bit larger than that, except at some point the base of the tree was hollowed out and it used to build fires in it. So its growth has been stunted since that point. It's still one of the oldest holding grounds. Really nice. Then we got the carriage house down by the river. That original structure was built in 1840. It uses the old barn / stable area. And then in the 1990s, it got totally renovated and turned into an events building. So a lot of people that get married underneath that live oak or down by the river will have their reception in the carriage house. And you saw the chairs set up out there in front of that live oak. They are going to be having a wedding out there later this afternoon. Now we have a small bridge here on the right that pretty much leads nowhere.
Put that mask on and be quiet.
Ditches, we like to look nice here at Magnolia. But yeah, so I do like to start each tour with a little brief history for you on Charleston and Magnolia Plantation to kind of get you up to speed on what's been going on around here the last several hundred years or so while we're getting up to our personal section. Now, Charleston itself is named after King Charles II of England, and he had 8 buddies. We call them the 8 Lords Proprietors that King Charles gave the Carolina land grant to back when they were passing out all this land here in the Americas. So they took that land grant, settlers back to shop in England, across the Atlantic, and they finally hit the Americas in this area in 1670. These early settlers, they tried to grow a few things to start out with to see what would grow well in this environment, something they can mass produce, to sell, and make some money off of. Oh, excuse me, to make some money off of. And they tried oranges, tea, olives, a few other things, but none of that really took off quite like rice did. Rice grows very well in this area. Well, Charleston was a major exporter of rice back in the day, and had a ton of money doing it. But also rice, very important to Magnolia Plantation. This is an old rice plantation later on, and they were growing rice on this property from the early 1700s on up until the 1860s, right after the Civil War. And I'll be telling you much more about that rice production a little bit later in our tour when we come around to one of the old rice fields. Now, I do want to give you all a little information now on the origins of this plantation. Magnolia was originally purchased by a gentleman named Stephen Fox way back in 1676. And he bought this land for 50 pounds of sterling. Stephen Fox had a daughter named Anne Fox who would marry a guy named Thomas Drayton. And of course, she would then become Anne Drayton. When her father Stephen died, this land would pass fully to the Draytons. And they still are actually the 12th generation of Draytons in Old Magnolia, so it's still in that same family. Very nice. Now, it did get up to around 2,000 acres out here at one point. Today, though, only about 500 acres out here, and that is because the Reverend John Drayton was the plantation owner during the Civil War, and he made the mistake of investing in Confederate stocks and bonds. Of course, we know the Confederacy lost the war, leaving all of that completely worthless and put into quite a bit of debt. Not to mention that the Union Army also burned down the plantation house. So after the war, to get out of debt and rebuild his house, John Drayton sold 1,500 acres of this land to a phosphate mining company. But he did keep 500 acres, and that's the land you're on today. He repurposed it into the Magnolia Gardens and opened it as a tourist attraction in 1870. So it's been over for 150 years as just a tourist attraction. Right, this is Ravenswood Pond coming up right here. This is where we're going to spot a good bit of our wildlife on the tour. And I never really know for certain what we'll spot through here. The wildlife kind of moves around every trip, so we're just going to cruise through and see what we can spot on this trip around.
So see you later.
The first thing that you'll certainly notice, though,
look at the lake.
is all this
Look at the lake.
stuff
It's so
spread throughout the
glittery.
pond. A lot of people confuse this for algae or pond scum, which you can find on some ponds. But that's not what this is. This is called duckweed. And duckweed is one of the smallest flowering plants in the world. Individual plant. There's a
No.
little green speck, very small, like a pinhead. And the wind blows these together to form the big chunks you'll see
Sit back.
spread throughout the pond here. So this is actually millions of these small plants. And the ducks, they like to eat it, hence that name, duckweed. And it also acts as a water purifier. Whenever you see duckweed on the water, it's usually a good indicator that it's very clean, healthy water. Of course, I don't want you to, drink it or bathe in it, but as far as the wildlife's concerned, clean, healthy water for their purposes. Oh, we got a gator climbing up on the platform right up here. Well, it just climbed up. It's laying down on the platform now, so we'll get a good look at a gator. Right up through. Everyone will spot a few gators as we go through, but that's a great looking one out of the water. There's actually one in the water, just about maybe 15 feet off the bank right up here a little bit further.
It's right there.
Head looking right towards the train.
Right there on the wood.
Pretty good sized gator on the platform there. We can't see the whole
Oh,
tail, this portion of it, but the tail of an alligator will always make up at least half its length, and a lot of times
I got a
they'll go
video.
half. And they'll use those tails to propel themselves through the water. That's their main We'll typically see alligators move
I
very quick
did.
and often,
Sit down.
but large adult alligators with long, powerful tails can hit speeds
Oh, you see the
of up to
baby
about
gator
20
there?
miles per hour.
Right there. The baby
their
one.
name is
It's in the water.
Michael Phelps.
Right there.
I recommend trying to ever out swim one, at least an adult anyway.
Sit back.
And the platforms are built
No,
for
we on the
reptiles,
train. You can't get out.
which all the wildlife uses them, but they're built for the reptiles specifically because reptiles are cold-blooded. They don't have an internal mechanism to maintain their body temperatures, and they use outside
Anything
sources like the sun and the water to heat and cool themselves. So they built the platforms out there as sunny boards for the gators and the turtles to climb up on to get some sun when they need it. It helps keep the gators off the pathways, and of course,
Sit
good
down.
look at them when they are blowing them. We got several birds I'm going to point out to you right up here. These large
And the
white
tree.
birds you'll see
The white
nesting
bird.
in the lower nest. There's one on the
And the
right
tree.
side there of the tree. Those are great egrets. And those are some of the tallest
tree
birds
right
you'll see in the
there.
area. They get up to around 3 feet tall.
And the tree in the water. The tree that's in the water.
Predators, they'll eat snakes,
The-
eels, and I've seen those birds eat small baby alligators as well. So they don't go down. And the great egrets just started nesting about a week ago, so their eggs won't be hatching for at least another couple weeks. And then if you look at the very top nest of the tree, you'll see that smaller gray-colored bird. That's a juvenile great blue heron. And the mama's not in the nest with it right now. She was earlier, though. She'll be back. She's probably hunting for her juvenile right now. But great blue herons, that juvenile's about a month old.
You better not get on.
Great blue herons are the tallest birds you'll see in the area. Fully grown, they get up to about 4 feet tall. Very similar to the egrets, though. The herons are pretty much same diets, pretty much same hunting style. Great egrets and great blue herons, when they hunt, what they'll normally do is just stand very still on a bank near the water or in shallow water, and they'll just wait. Kind of like when you go fishing. They'll just wait for a snake or a fish or whatever to come near, and then just pluck it out of the water. Very patient hunters.
That tree fell.
Or very lazy hunters, however you want to look at it. But I
How did
guess
it fall?
gets the job done. And both those types of
And
birds
nobody
usually
cut it.
live
It
to
fell
about
down.
18 to 20
And
years
another one
old.
fell.
I think the oldest great egret on record
It looks like
got
a
up to
bridge.
about 22 years old.
Look at that tall tree.
Hey, sit back.
For another gator.
Guess who's my new friend?
As we come
You
up
don't
here,
even
we
know
can
that
spot
girl.
one. They're a little bit sparse today. We haven't spotted at least a couple here and there. Alligators, they'll get quite large. Female gators fully grown normally get up to be about 9 to 10
You
feet
can't
long
believe what I see.
and weigh anywhere from 300 to 500
Look, there's
pounds.
a white water.
Male alligators can get larger. They can get up to around 13, 14 feet and
Oh,
weigh
my
anywhere from
word.
like 500 to 800 pounds, or possibly even more. But they will grow their whole life, so it really depends a lot on how old a gator gets as to how long they
Yeah.
live. And normally they live to be between about 40 to 50 years old.
Ooh,
That's a
I
pretty
didn't
standard
see
lifespan for a
it.
gator.
This is a fun
Then we got a bunch of those great egrets you'll see nesting up in the top of that rookery. And then a few of the great
Look how
herons.
beautiful that is.
In the center of the rookery they're nesting as well. And then in the bottom right corner of the rookery you'll see a dark colored bird with its wings spread out wide on the bottom
Kylie,
right corner there. With a tan neck
you're
feathers
not
and
getting
chest
out the
feathers.
train.
That's a female. The females have tan neck and chest feathers. The males are
Until
all
we
black.
so I can get out.
But those
No,
are the
we're
birds
not
on the
stopping
side.
and you're
They
not
are
getting
underwater.
out.
They can hold their breath. Oh, there's a small gator right beside us here too, about 20 feet off the bank.
Get in the middle, because you're trying to get out.
No, I'm not.
But anteaters hunt underwater. They can hold their breath for about 15 to 20 seconds underwater, and when they're lucky, when they pop to the surface, they'll have a little fish, and they'll usually just pop that fish back and swallow it whole as soon as they reach the surface. I've actually seen those anteaters when I'm doing the boat tours swim under on one side of the large pontoon boat and come up on the other side, come all the way under the boat.
Look at that. Whoa.
So yeah, quite a bit of wildlife out today, and of course anywhere that we go on the trail, you can walk as well. If you wanted to walk back around this area later, you can certainly feel free to do that.
Oh, she was
We're gonna press on through for now, though. We got more to see on the tour. We're gonna be coming around to the old slave quarters here in just a moment.
I see people. I don't see no people. Over there.
Got some Cherokee roses living over here on the left side. These small little white ones with the little yellow centers. They're like little sunny side up eggs. Those are Cherokee roses.
Oh, we gotta be
A bunch of those are blooming around the property right now. Now, I am going to give you all some information on these old slave cabins as we get up to the front here. I do always recommend, though, that if you wanted a lot more additional information on the slave history here in Magnolia, taking the Slavery to Freedom tour, which dedicates the whole tour to that subject, and that'll bring you out to the cabin. And the guide will give you much more information on the whole set on slave history. And of course, with that tour, you'll get to go inside these old cabins, and all four of these you're going to see along this line were built in the 1850s. So these are quite old, and certainly the enslaved did live in these specific cabins in the 1850s and early 1860s before the end of the Civil War. And I'll tell you a little bit more about these. They're actually giving a tour through the corner though, so I'm going to be quiet as we go past the tour group, so I won't interrupt them too much. But I'll tell you a little bit more about these once we get up past this group. Give me just a moment.
That's where slaves used to live.
Built in the 1850s, but quite old. And you notice going through here, two doors per cabin. And there would have been two slave families living in each cabin, sharing one. One family
There's a
living on
big
one
tree in
side.
front of me.
And depending on the size of each family, we were talking roughly between about 10 to 15 slaves per cabin. So it's pretty tight quarters. You can see these are not that large. Now the smaller building on the end, that's the old smokehouse. That's where they cured the meat and stored it for winter before refrigeration. It was built in the early 1900s. This tree coming up beside us here, this is another large Virginia live oak. This one's over 300 years old, and one of our larger ones on the ground. And that wood, live oak wood, that was a favorite for shipbuilders to use when they were making ships out of wood. Hard to work with because it was so tough and very heavy. But if you had a ship made out of live oak back in the day, pretty much top of the line. Not a lot of wood is going to be tougher than that.
I'm cool too. You got a jacket
live
on.
oak because unlike other oak trees, live oaks are evergreens. They don't lose their leaves in the winter. But other oak trees are deciduous. They will lose their leaves in the winter. Live oaks, they do not. Great jelly. Or live, you're found
Look at that.
or line of those live oaks up here at the edge of the field right.
Just morph like that.
You gonna say something to your channel?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Magnolia Channel. Today we are
You can see this anywhere you look.
we
It's
are
all
going
the
on
gray, stringy stuff hanging off the trees.
we are
everywhere
going
called
on a
Spanish moss.
vacation.
Which you might be familiar with.
A
but what you may
nature
not
tree.
know about Spanish moss is that it's not Spanish.
Then
it's
after
moss.
the nature
It's actually
tree,
an epiphyte,
we're going on
or
a
an air
boat,
plant, which
and
means it gets all the
then
nutrients
we
it
are
needs to
going to
survive
be going
from the air, the sun, the rain, and the environment.
vacation.
It does not need a host.
Put your mask back on.
Does.
So, look at the beautiful
Other types of
view.
trees, but it's not going from those.
Look.
You got the
Yeah,
name
we have a
Spanish moss from the French and the Native Americans back in the day. I'm not sure which one started it, but they were both making fun of the Spanish settlers' long, scraggly beards. They were basically calling it Spanish beard to start with. and somewhere
You gotta
along
listen to him.
translations, it
You can
eventually
talk
became
when he
Spanish
finished
moss
talking.
in English.
Turn around so you can see.
The Spaniards tried to flip it around and call it French beard or French hair, but that
That's why you
obviously
cut
didn't
it
take
short.
hold quite as well as it did today.
Damn.
They got the Audubon Swamp here on the left. You got cypress trees along the bank. You can always tell a cypress by the root system that surrounds it there at the base. Those knobby things, those are called cypress leaves. And that's part of the root system of the tree that sticks above the ground. You got cypress kingfisher, you got cypress trees. Don't get these cypress though with tupelo trees. Tupelos are the ones you see growing out there in the swamp. Those are all tupelos out there.